Gentlemen, yields, I now recognize the Chairman of Transportation Subcommittee, Mr. Giménez from Florida, for 5 minutes questioning.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And before I move on to cybersecurity, as the only career firefighter ever elected to Congress, I want to share, my colleague, Mr. Swalwell's condolences to what happened in LA. But I also would like to see if you would consider doing some kind of a fact-finding trip by this committee to LA to determine what the conditions were prior to the fire, what the response to that fire was, and also what strategies, what mitigation strategies that we need to take in order to make sure it never happens again. Because there are certain things there that that caused me a little bit of concern about that whole situation. Mostly was really about the fuel and the control of the fuel, because fire needs three things. It needs an ignition source, it needs oxygen, and it needs fuel. And the ignition source, we haven't determined that yet, but when you have hurricane force winds, you certainly have enough oxygen. It appears that they had a heck of a lot of fuel, and they didn't do a very good job of
Gentleman, yield for a question.
maintaining that. Yeah, I will.
Just since Mr. Swalwell isn't here, I anticipate what he would ask is, would you also be interested in a fact-finding trip or study to see if, for example, the state of Florida has taken adequate steps to reduce flooding in the event of a hurricane or to reduce damage?
Oh, absolutely.
I
I think we are fantastic at what we do in the state of Florida, and
I just want to make sure we're putting the same
no,
scrutiny on every
yeah,
state, not just.
And we learn after every hurricane. I wouldn't have any problem in doing that. You want to visit me when I was the mayor? Sure, come on. I'll be happy to show you what we've done. Okay. Now back to artificial intelligence. To actually cybersecurity. Does artificial intelligence have applications in cybersecurity and a defense mechanism? And so, Mr. Myers or Mr. Wales, if you want to answer that question.
Yes, and I actually would say that right now we're at a unique moment where artificial intelligence is being integrated into cybersecurity applications far faster than we're seeing adversaries able to weaponize artificial intelligence to launch attacks. So most companies, SentinelOne, and among others, are working hard to make sure that their technology benefits from the latest and most modern artificial intelligence applications.
So Mr. Myers, do you agree?
Yes, absolutely. We've been using machine learning and artificial intelligence for the last 14 years at CrowdStrike.
Fantastic. What do you all think about yesterday's announcement of $500 billion investment in artificial intelligence, a Stargate initiative, I guess? Anyone can answer that if they want. Do you know about that?
I read in the news. What I would say is it is important, particularly in competition vis-a-vis China, that the United States be a real leader here. So anything that we are doing as a nation to ensure that artificial intelligence innovation is happening inside the United States is going to be good for both our security and our economic well-being.
Mr. Rear Admiral, if we win that race, would that be able to supplant the manpower advantage that our adversaries may have in that regard in terms of cyber attacks and our ability to defend them?
I do believe artificial intelligence and machine learning can make a big difference in the speed with which you find accesses and develop tools. One thing I would give Congress is as we see that $500 billion get invested, the one area, I'm not for regulatory environment here, but the one thing I would regulate, much like we do at our national labs, is I would demand a level of physical and cybersecurity around that most important intellectual property, the model weights and things like that. Again, I wouldn't heavily regulate the entrepreneurial spirit, but I would regulate the security so that we maintain any breakthroughs belong to us and belong to the United States companies and eventually to the United States military and aren't easily stolen by our adversaries.
No, I believe that the artificial intelligence technology is a national security technology, much as any weapon system that we have, maybe even more important than any weapon system that we have. We have to maintain that advantage and keep it in a very, very, very secure place. And hopefully the artificial intelligence will be able to guard itself, okay? Finally, do we have any rebound capability? In other words, what I mean by rebound capability, somebody attacks you and then the response, the rebound to that is even worse than the attack, so that you know that if you punch me in the nose, I'll cut your head off. Do we have that capability?
Sir, that's what I was talking about with deterrence. You know, we've talked a lot about deterrence by denial here. That deterrence by cost of position is the punch back. And then defensively, we do have to have a rapid recovery. One of the things America's good at is getting back up off the mat, you know, when we're hit. But in cyberspace, I don't think we're properly organized for that yet. And this is more than FEMA. This has got to be, we call it continuity of the economy planning, and we've got to get working on that. So a better offense and a better ability to recover once we're punched in the face. Those are going to be the two things we need to win.
I know my time's up, and just simple yes or no. Will artificial intelligence help us in that? Yes or no?
Yes.
Thank you, and I yield back.
Gentlemen, yield.